empirical Christianity. We teach people from our own experience, but you are not Jesus. It was different when Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. There was no Bible to read then. And look at it. He said, follow me as I follow Christ. But now we have semi-God in the form of men. Say, follow me. You don't even know where you're going. How dare you say, follow you? But that's what we are having. And everybody will come with their own magical formula. And in this world, everybody respects success.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I watch a program, it's my favorite program.
Yes.
I've not seen it recently. It's called Greed.
Yeah.
In greed, they will just, some people are not qualified to be an investor. They, as soon as they get a nice Bentley car and go mortgage somebody's money and buy a nice house, they will now say, I'm an investor. And as soon as they start investing, and they will say, uncle, what are you doing these days? You are just shining. It's the glory of the Lord. I mean, last you are driving a Mercedes or a Jaguar 6 months ago. Now you change it to a Bentley. What is your secret? You know, I'm gifted in investing.
Okay.
And I invest in some special stocks. The most market will tell you a return of 10%, but my return averages 22%. Seriously? Look at the house now. Look at the car. And they will show in greed. People will be running to give their money to somebody who never went to school to study economics or anything. And it's amazing how much these people were able to swindle the government, some banks. Some of them are well known. The guy who formed the band, what's the name? Backstreet Boys, and another band. He used those boys to publicize his name, and he had this what is called Ponzi scheme. And when they finally arrested him, because he ran from America when they discovered that he was a fraudster, he ran to Bali and they brought him back here. And they were saying something that he swindled people of over 800 million. 300 million of that belongs to the bank. My son said, how can he swindle the bank too?
That's true.
But in America here, it's just document. You can show, this guy doesn't pay taxes, but he has document to show he pays $6 million in taxes from his revenue. The bank didn't check anything. They know him. This is the man who is in jail now. So the same thing that works in the world is working in the church. If pastor is blessed, we need to follow pastor's formula. Is pastor teaching us the formula in the Bible? Because the formula in the Bible shows that God is a slow cooker. And that when people rise so suddenly, they don't learn what they need to learn. God is a slow cooker. And I will keep on saying that in this church, because your hard time is your training time. Your trial time is your training time for your reigning time.
Amen.
Because if God promotes you without training you, you'll be in trouble.
Oh, yes.
We said it 2 weeks ago here, how Saul was empowered as king. But because God never trained him, he failed from the very moment he was installed as king.
Yes.
God trained David. David made as many mistakes as Saul, but David knew how to repent and how to seek the face of God. And David knew how to run to God instead of running from God. David knew how much God loves him. That God is not how to get him. That it doesn't matter what he does, God is a forgiving God.
Oh, yes.
When you and I don't understand the heart of God, we think we need to make it up to God. We think we need to hand God's approval. Instead of us knowing that God knows my mess. That there's never a news flash in heaven. That I don't need to appease God. I just need to repent and ask him to strengthen me so I don't do it again. It is what the prodigal son understood. The prodigal son, when he came to himself, he ran back to his father. And when he got back to his father, he wanted to start apologizing. Said, Daddy, I've sinned against heaven. Make me like a houseboy. And before he could say, make me like a house, the father hugged him. The father said, you are my son. It doesn't matter how low you've fallen. I want you to feel so free to always run to me instead of running from me. But here is where the devil messes up. Remember we started by talking about what people see on TV during the NASA car racing, how they translate that to their driving the following week. What we see and what we are taught in church, especially when we pollute the Old Testament and the New Testament, instead of making a demarcation. Because the Bible said that God has given us a new covenant and a better covenant in the New Testament. Instead of realizing that, yes, it's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But God is a God of progressive revelation. What he shows yesterday, you cannot use the anointing of yesterday to fight today's battle. That's why you must seek him continuously. And David understood that. When David became king, the Philistine came against him. He prayed. God said, yeah, go down this route. You will meet them at the valley. Destroy them. He did. And then they regrouped and came against him. Instead of using the tactic of yesterday, he went back to God. God, what should I do? God said, be still. When you hear the movement on the tree, on the mulberry tree, when you hear the mulberry tree rustling, then go after them. So you and I are supposed to have an umbilical cord that let us have a daily download from God and be able to operate with the fresh anointing of today to solve today's problem. But if I was the devil, I would cause the spirit of confusion in the church, whereby people will not know either they are going or they are coming. And then let them realize that, hey, God, because they will quote somewhere in the Old Testament. Because sometimes when you quote the Bible, you better know who is doing the talking.
That's right.
There's a place that said, they accused Jesus. When he healed a man, we say, we know that man is a sinner. The guy was healed, said, I don't know either he's a sinner or not a sinner. I knew I was blind, but now I can see.
Oh, yes.
There's a place that said, oh, God said, we will only live for 70 years. You better read who was doing the talking.
Oh, yes.
It was Moses talking about the judgment of God in the wilderness. They say, oh, you know, God is always angry at sinners. You better read who is doing the talking. Because when God speaks for himself, he said, I will no longer be mad at you. Yes. He said, the God, as I was saying, in Hebrews chapter 6, who never had to swear, swore there by his own holiness. Say, by two immutable forces by which it is impossible for God to lie. That God will perfect in our life, will do in our life what he has promised. And then he used the example of Abraham. That God promised Abraham. And if God did it for Abraham, in spite of the delay, we should watch what he did in Abraham and use that as an anchor to steady ourselves that whatever he promised us is able to do. But instead, we come to church and we are being trained. God is continually smiling at you. And hey, like my sister and my wife, they went for a church service yesterday, and I was asking her, how was the service? Oh, it was nice. He said, but he said, it's so funny. He said, everywhere you go, this tithe and offering thing. He said, they were talking, I believe in holiness, I believe in tithing, I believe in offering. There's nothing wrong with tithing and nothing with offering. It's simply that God has made a transition when we got into the New Testament. What was good yesterday might not be good today.
Yes.
What the tithing principle was used to sustain the church of God when God has the Levite working for him. And he told them, nobody can serve me except the Levite. And they must not have any job. Today, the Hebrew people are not paying tithe to nobody. They support their synagogue according to the way it should be supported. It's a free will offering. God makes sure that Jesus did not come from the tribe of the Levites. Jesus makes sure that there's nobody he picked to be his disciple that did not have a gainful employment. They were all fishermen and tax collector that he used. He made made sure he picked a man, Apostle Paul, who was a tent maker, so that everywhere he goes, he said, I don't depend on you to sustain me, but God shall supply all my need.
Amen.
I want you to give to this mission, but I want you to do it from a free heart, because God has transitioned. Yet, this is what we are doing to Christians. There are different ways of training people. If you join the